Now we're going to talk about the trigonometric functions for the quadrantal angles. And so we have this on the unit circle, but let me draw these out again. So if we have a point here at 0 degrees or 360 degrees, that point is 1, 0. And then the point up here is going to be 0, 1. The point over here is going to be negative 1, 0. And then the point down here is going to be 0, negative 1. And so, you know, think about the unit circle. And then we'll think about those angles that we have. So we're here at 0 degrees or 360 degrees if you were to go one time around the circle. Sometimes I'll put both of those in. A lot of times it'll depend on the restrictions. Here we are at 90 degrees. And I'm doing these all in degrees. I really haven't talked about the radians, but you just have to convert those over. And then 180 degrees here and 270 degrees in here. Okay, I'm going to try to make a little chart, so we'll see how that goes. So let's have our sine theta, cosine theta, tangent theta. And then I usually go, if I'm going to make them in a column like this, then I usually go cotangent theta, secant theta, and cosecant theta. That's how I usually write them out. And the reason for that is then I've got those two are reciprocals, those two are reciprocals, and those two are reciprocals. So it's just a way for me to write them out, but you can write it how you want. All right, so let's go ahead and start with 0 degrees then. So we're going to go back to that idea that back to the basics that the sine is y over r. And remember that if you're on a unit circle, then the r is always 1, so it's just equal to y. So in this case, the sine of 0 is 0. And then the cosine is going to be the x value. And then the tangent is going to be sine over cosine, which is 0. And then we have to think about the reciprocal of 0, which would be undefined. I'm just going to put UND for that. And then the reciprocal of 1, which is 1. And the reciprocal for the sine is going to be undefined as well. So then those would be the trig functions for a 0 degree angle. Now, if I go to a 90 degree angle, and then I go up to this point, and I say, well, what is y? 1. What is x? 0. And then what's 1 over 0? Undefined. And then I have to do the reciprocals. So for cotangent, what's the reciprocal of undefined? Well, you could go cosine over sine, would be another way to do it. You're going to get 0. And then the reciprocal of 0 is going to be undefined. And then the reciprocal of 1 is going to be 1. So those would be the values for 90 degrees. And then let's go 270 degrees. Oh, no, I left out the 180. Don't do that. Okay, 180 degrees. And so now we're over here at this point where we have negative 1, 0. No, it doesn't look like a good 0 there. Okay. And so we're going to think sine, that's going to be 0. And then cosine is going to be negative 1. And then tangent is going to be 0. Cotangent is going to be undefined. Secant is going to be negative 1. And then cosecant is also going to be undefined. And when we go to do the graphs of these, you'll see these, we use these angles to graph a lot of times. And so you're going to see this show up. So you can match the graph to what we're saying here, and that might be helpful as well. Okay, and then finally, well, not finally, 270 degrees, because I am going to do the 360. 270 degrees, so now we're down here at this point where the y is negative 1, the x is 0, y over x, which is undefined, and then x over y, which is going to be 0, and then the reciprocal of 0, undefined, and the reciprocal of negative 1, which is going to be negative 1. So you might see some patterns here that be helpful. and then back to all the way around 360 degrees. But this is just going to be a repeat of what we did at 0 degrees. So we can just recopy it, 0, 1, 0, undefined, 1, and undefined. And so, like I said, sometimes I'll use 0 degrees, sometimes I'll talk about 360 degrees, but I understand that's the same point on the unit circle. Okay, same values. Quadrantal angles.